Hello, 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 everybody. This is Big Baby Ben.
This is Juice Black. Tonight we present Bubble Boys, I guess. How you doing tonight, big baby?
I'm doing all right. We're changing up our squares to a bubble tonight, and we changed up the blue to red. And, it's finally pretty cool, Judas, because we're finally getting to stream to TikTok to all our TikTok fans with our live podcast. And tonight's a pretty fun, creative episode I've cooked up over here. But there's an interview that I know you're dying to talk about, so I'm going to throw that on the screen, and you're going to talk about it.
Right here, guys. This here is David Truitt. This man is a legend, apparently, in the wrestling business, in the wrestling world, in the UFC world. This man knows tons of people. We are super excited to bring this man aboard. He does a lot of stuff with stem cell research. He grew up right here in Davenport, Iowa. He went to West High School. I don't want to go too deep into what I have found out so far about this guy, but let's just say I am super excited. January 17th at 8 p.m. on the Wrestling with Bros podcast, we present David Truitt.
David Truitt, legend in the wrestling business. He says this is going to be a two-parter. So
Yes.
You're not going to get everything in one podcast. You're going to have to tune in twice to hear these legendary stories. But let's dig right on in. And one of the big questions right now in the wrestling world, Judas, is which era was the best era of wrestling? And that's a debate amongst every wrestling fan. We got the 80s. We got the Attitude Era. We got 2002 to 2007 was popping, and then we have today's era. So Attitude Era, when you think the Attitude Era, I don't know, but when I think Attitude Era, I think The Rock versus Stone Cold.
Absolutely. I mean, The Rock versus Stone Cold. During that time, you also had D-Generation X. D-Generation X, man, they pretty much made up the Attitude Era area. I mean, along with Triple H being a part of Evolution, Shawn Michaels, it was just a huge time. If you're talking about an era where you wanted aggression, you wanted violence, that's what the wrestling world was about at that time. The wrestling era that you wanted to be a part of was definitely the Attitude Era.
In that little time frame, do you remember when Triple H was Hunter Hearst Helmsley?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Do you remember his awesome matches with Mankind?
Absolutely.
Those matches, and then on top of it, on the WCW side, was the NWO.
Yes.
That was their DX.
Yes.
And then there was Goldberg.
Yep. The man that couldn't be stopped.
That was the WCW Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yes, absolutely. Just dominant, powerful, quick. For a man his size, he was just agile as hell. And everybody who stepped up fell down. And there was no stopping him.
And then we kind of move into that 2002 to 2007 era. And I'm going to list these names off. And we're going to kind of break it down. And the first name, kind of is Undertaker. In that time frame, the Undertaker was at his peak, in my opinion.
Yes, absolutely. Undertaker, the legend, the myth. The man went, 21 years before he was finally stopped, before he was finally beat. It was I think it was 20-1 or 21-1 before he was finally stopped by the Beast, the Beast Brock Lesnar. That's what it took to put down the Undertaker. And it wasn't in his early years either. It was when the Undertaker was down to his last straw, when he was wore down by age. Because not every wrestler is going to last forever. And no wrestler is going to last forever. Let's just be honest. Every wrestler eventually reaches the peak of their prime, and then they head downhill. They wear out, they're wore down, and the Undertaker went so long. Nobody ever thought the streak would be beaten. And, honestly, to me, the streak should have been taken out by the man himself, the legend Bray Wyatt, because that's who the Undertaker passed his torch to. He passed that torch down to the legend Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, however you know him, Wyndham Rotunda, if I remember correctly. He was a legend himself just because of what he did in his time. And we've seen that encounter between them two superstars in the ring where the Undertaker whispered something in his ear. I think it was the night that LA Knight thought he was going to stand up, to Bray Wyatt, and the Undertaker was in the ring, and the Undertaker got LA Knight in a chokehold and then threw it to Bray Wyatt, and Bray Wyatt hit him with the Sister Abigail. That's who I think should have stopped the streak. I mean, someone that's going to take over the torch. But you I guess would agree that Brock Lesnar deserved it. But honestly, I think it should have been a newer era superstar that took off the streak.
Okay, here's my honest opinion. As a Brock Lesnar fan, sitting next to you when this match was going on, you cheering for Taker, me cheering for Lesnar, and Lesnar, I was the only one in that front room that thought Brock Lesnar was going to win that match. I was the only one cheering for Brock Lesnar. Even my wife was cheering for The Undertaker.
Yep.
Nobody wanted Brock to win.
Absolute shock. Everybody, like the room went quiet. The crowd was quiet. Nobody made a sound.
Except for me. Cheering.
When Brock Lesnar hit that 3 count from the ref, we're like, what? No. Rewind that. That's not right. Something's not right there.
It happened.
The Undertaker lost at WrestleMania.
And then they fed him the Roman Reigns. Why?
There was no reason for it. That should have been the end of the Undertaker's era. That was it right there. The Undertaker lost to Brock. The streak was dead. It was gone. And that should have been the end of it. But I think what they do, they fed him to Bray, or put him in a match with Bray the following year, and Bray lost. And then they fed him to Roman, and Roman won. There really wasn't a purpose in it after Brock had won. But I still stick to my own grounds on this. I really think that Bray Wyatt should have been the one to beat the streak.
And then we move to the next name, and this guy was the first guy to really, in my opinion, hit them belly-to-belly suplexes, really technical in the ring, and the chants of "you suck" went through the arena like crazy. He drove a milk truck down to the ring and sprayed everybody with milk. It's damn true. We're talking about Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle, man. I mean, he wasn't liked by many in his heel era. He was part of a great faction that now Chad Gable has kind of created one of his own called American Made. But the original is always better. It was Kurt Angle, Charlie Haas, and Shelton Benjamin.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a very great time in WWE. I think the milk truck thing, that was during a time when he was feuding with Stone Cold. Yep. He was trying to prove a point here. You could drive a beer truck down here and spray me down with it, and I could drive a milk truck down here and spray you down with it. But Stone Cold, that's because Stone Cold said so. Absolutely loved Kurt Angle. He's at the point in his career, in his life, where he's definitely not going to be hitting the ring anymore. Stone Cold still could probably throw another match. Definitely Kurt Angle, an amazing name in the wrestling business.
And now we move, unfortunately, to one of those names that when you bring up in the wrestling world, you're happy to hear it, but you're sad that he's gone. And that's you lie, you cheat, you steal, Eddie Guerrero.
Eddie Guerrero, man, an absolute legend. Yeah, you said it best when you said it. Lie, cheat, steal. Every chance that man had, he would pull something off in the ring that would guarantee him a win. I remember the time that he was facing off against Brock Lesnar. I think it was for the World Championship, and
WWE's championship. Yep.
yeah, and he slipped out, untied his boot so that when Brock went to grab his ankle, he slipped out of it, and he pulled off the victory by doing so. And then Eddie Guerrero, he was made famous by the cars that he drove down to the ringside, the bouncing cars, and one thing he was very well known for was the custody battle dispute with Rey Mysterio for Rey's son Dominic Mysterio. There was a lot of
Dirty Dom,
there was a lot of back and forth.
AKA Daddy Dom.
Daddy Dom.
AKA inmate number Jackass.
There was a lot of back and forth during that time frame where people were like,
but
is he really Eddie's kid? I mean, look at him now. The look he's going for just says Eddie Guerrero all over it.
I just want to point this out. I give Dominic a hard time, Dominic Mysterio, but the man's talented, and I like the work that he does with the kids.
Yep.
And, he's a good heel. There's no chance for him to be a good guy ever.
No, at this point, the minute he steps into an arena, the boos start. So it's going to be really hard if they ever try to turn him heel. It's going to be really hard. Or try to turn him face.
We're going to talk about another name that I know you're going to want to talk about. And we actually have a couple topics to cover with this name. And that's John Cena. John Cena.
Followed that man since 2002. He busted onto the scene. He was first known as the Prototype. And then when he started, he was in the trunks. He had the hair all pushed up. He stepped in the ring with Kurt Angle. And Kurt Angle says, what in your mind makes you think that you deserve to step in the ring with a man like myself? And John Cena's response, ruthless aggression, and just socks Kurt Angle. And then we had a match. Unfortunately, Cena lost his first match against Kurt Angle, but he did prove a point that day that ruthless aggression was a real thing during that time frame. That was the ruthless aggression era. So, and then John Cena's career has been legendary. One of tons of talks, and now we know that he's on his final run. But John Cena is known for movies. The biggest thing he's known for is his Make-A-Wish Foundation. Last I understood, he has the top wishes granted.
Yes, he does.
All about the kids, making sure that the kids get what they want, and he's just an all-around amazing guy. And his time as the face of WWE, is coming to a grinding halt. But it's time. I mean, somebody's got to step up. Somebody young and fresh and got to step up. And John is ready to make that final run and say goodbye to WWE. And I'm sure he'll still have some kind of role backstage, helping with train people, show people the ropes, bring in the new era.
The last time is now.
The last time is now in a WWE squared circle. So, hats off to John Cena. Like I said, I followed him since 2002. I'm a huge fan. Never turned my back on him. Same as he's never turned his back on his fans. I think there was like one time where he tried to be heel, and that was when he was running through his Thugonomics stage. But I mean, it really didn't last long. It just wasn't John Cena. So, then he brought on the colorful shirts and that was all she wrote.
The Fruity Pebbles t-shirts.
Fucking
But
rock.
there's, a couple names when you think of John Cena and you go back through your head, and we actually studied a clip today, me and you did, and that's when he faced Umaga at the '07 Rumble and a last man standing. The man was busted open. And I do want to point, Cena says he's never used a heel move to win a match, but he used a double knee low blow in that match.
I mean, he used the ropes to win that match. I mean, come on. He had to. There was no choice in that match. The Samoan bulldozer, Umaga, was just an absolute monster. And, he dominated John Cena for the majority of that match. But John Cena had a good heart on him, and he stood his ground with Umaga because we know what led to it. Umaga trying to take out Maria.
Yep.
Umaga hit her with a Samoan drop, and then I don't know what you call it, the Samoan ass in the corner.
Spike.
No,
yeah.
The Samoan ass in the corner. He never got to hit the spike. He never got the spike because John Cena came out. But that was Maria. She was 100 pounds. Like where in your crazy ass Samoan mind did you think it was okay to hit this 100-pound girl with a Samoan drop and a Samoan ass? Like, man.
And I just want to point out, Cena did have actual hurt ribs going into that match.
I believe, yes, absolutely.
I watched an interview, and from what it sounded like, he had hurt. He was hurt, but they still needed him.
Yeah, they still needed him. And John Cena was always there when he was needed by the company. He was always faithful. He was always on time. He was always about WWE. He was always about the fans. And that's why he will go down as one of the biggest names to ever brace the company in WWE.
Another name, when you think John Cena, and I know you're gonna instantly agree with me, Edge. The rated R superstar, the matches that them two put on,
Edge
was legendary.
I could go down a list, man. Triple H, Edge, Batista, Randy Orton.
That was John my third Cena, one, Randy Orton.
John Cena had some of the most legendary matches, and these guys were that era during the time frame of when John Cena, Batista, Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, they all came in together. They came in together during that time window. Triple H was before them, obviously, but he threw down with some of the biggest names in the business, and for good cause. For good cause, those names meant something. And the legendary matches, the Edge and John Cena with the spinner belt feud, where Edge won the title from John Cena, and he turned it into the rated R spinning belt. I think it was Edge that threw the title into the pier, right? Their matches were stuff of legends and stuff that will be continued to be talked about to this day and into the future.
Absolutely. And I ran across this article today, and it kind of made me, actually want to run this episode just around this question, just to get a Judas Black rant. John Cena is today's Hulk Hogan. And you saw in that match, he was all bloody, and then he would punch him, and he'd say, "Come on, brother!" And he would Hulk. He would Cena up, as I call it back then. He would Cena up, and is he the version of Hulk Hogan when Hulk Hogan was in the '90s? Is he today's version?
I could see it in that sense. Hulk Hogan was very popular during his era, but I honestly. I may get some heat for this, but I don't feel like Hulk Hogan was on the same level as John Cena. Hulk Hogan has never done the things that John Cena has done in the wrestling business as far as it goes to being there for the kids, making movies.
Hulk Hogan made movies, and he was on Chuck Norris.
But he wasn't as popular as John Cena.
He was a bad guy on Walker, Texas Ranger. Stop it.
Yeah, he was also in Mega Mountain, the High Noon at Mega Mountain, which I love that movie. But he still wasn't John Cena.
But he was the 90s version because he was one of the first people to go into acting.
I'm just going to be straight with you here. That's like saying, okay, I'm going to go get John Cena and going on Temu and you buy Hulk Hogan.
Wow. Okay.
So, no, I mean, yeah, in the sense of John Cena was like, I'm here, I'm now, let's do this, I never give up, yeah, maybe, but no, not really.
And then, who was bigger? We got WCW, and we just talked about Hogan, and now we're going to bring up Hogan one more time. Hulk Hogan or Stone Cold?
Stone Cold, easily. He's still talked about to this day. Where's Hulk Hogan? Nobody talks about him now. The only time they talk about it is when he comes on the television set. Stone Cold Steve Austin, flipping people off, drinking beers. He's still talked about to this day. But Hulk Hogan, because of some past issues, was put radio silent because of WWE, and that kind of halted his momentum in the wrestling business. Now, Stone Cold still talked about. So bigger names, easily Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Easily Stone Cold, and the awesome company that made the Wrestling with Bros hoodies.
Taylor's Graphic Designs, absolutely. T-shirts, hoodies. And then you got Happy Cups Creations. My little sister, Michelle, making cups. She can also do hoodies, shirts. Just let her know, her or Taylor's Graphics Designs, whatever you want, whatever you need, hit them up. They'll be able to kind of help you out and get you set on the right direction.
And then, look at that schedule.
New schedule for MCW in 2025, February 28th, April 25th, June 28th, August 16th, October 18th, and to wrap up the year, December 20th. Guys, breaking news. Go check it out.
And before we promote our big interview that we got coming up and close this out, Judas, I know it was a quick episode. It was a test run for TikTok to see how it was doing, and I'm quite happy with the turnout. We are going to talk about this Ula Fala situation. It happens January 6th. On Netflix, Monday Night Raw, Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, one-on-one. We will be on the same screen, brother, watching this, giving our reactions. It will be a muted show, so it will only be our face reactions. It will be muted. I'm sorry if you don't like that, then I'm sorry, but I'm tired of getting copyrighted. So it will be a muted show just for reactions. And then we will talk in between the matches about what we just saw and why we were acting like that.
Absolutely promoting our episodes, promoting our interviews coming up. One of Wrestling with Bros favorites, Tommy Gunn, coming back January 13th.
Tommy.
And during that episode, which we will be talking about mental health awareness and shows coming up for Tommy Gunn. And, just kind of some rivalries and things he's got going on currently, and then, like we said at the beginning of the show, David Truitt, a huge name that Wrestling with Bros is very proudly welcoming onto the show January 17th. Right there, you see him alongside Seth freaking Rollins, Becky Lynch, welcoming him January 7th. The way he's talking, the stories he's got, a lot more than we can squeeze into one episode, so it will be a 2-part episode. which we will put a little bit of space between those two, just to keep you guys on the edges of your seats as we prepare to bring on David Truitt. Right there, you see the Reaper clothing design, Wrestling with Bros' new clothing line that my son Liam will be helping design with some ideas that he's got going on right now behind the scenes, making that stuff happen.
Absolutely. And, we got that final question of the night before we close out. It's a quick one, but who's your greatest of all time? Who's your GOAT?
John Cena.
Saved that big one for last. John Cena?
John Cena. He's got so much that he's done. Now, if you're talking about GOATs in the business today, the Tribal Chief, he has done some great storytelling in the past 5 years in WWE. Roman Reigns finally hit that peak in his career where something really, really took off. But if you're talking about all time, since at least 2002, John Cena has been a legend in this business, has made very, very many fans happy, and granted tons of wishes, not just inside the squared circle, outside the squared circle, making the business a reality.
And my pick for greatest of all time is none other than the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. This man was one of the first people to really get on the microphone and cut a nasty promo that just made you sit there and go, oh shit. The way he dressed, the Rolexes, the shoes, the suits, the girls, the limos, he was just a star. He made himself a star. And if we're talking about today's era, as Judas said, I'm going to have to agree. The Tribal Chief, I will do it this time live on the podcast because he only got a picture of it. But my ones go in the air for the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns. We are just getting viewers coming in, and guys, I'm sorry, but we're just about to close.
You guys, when we go live, you gotta tune in. You gotta tune in right off the bat. The live symbol will go up. Wrestling with Bros is here tonight. We want to say, happy Christmas Eve, to everybody that's listening. Merry Christmas, happy holidays.
Yep.
We're looking forward to rolling into the new year. January 6th will be our final episode of season 2 as we go live to watch Raw on Netflix. Unfortunately, a lot of the volume will be muted during that time. We're tired of getting copyrighted by WWE just because we want to share with our fans our live reactions, our excitement for events such as Raw goes Netflix January 6th. But we will be live closing out Wrestling with Bros. We will come on the speaker to talk from time to time. And also when we close out the show and start up the show, you will hear our voices. But we just want to make sure that we're not getting copyrighted, that we're doing the right thing, and not bringing other people's content onto the screen without permission. So, Wrestling with Bros, like I said, Merry Christmas to you guys. Whatever you guys are doing tonight, happy holidays, whatever you're celebrating. This has been a special Christmas Eve edition of the Wrestling with Bros. Big Baby?
Special shout out to everyone that I've got to work with at MCW. That goes from Stacy to Bobby Lee to Oscar Miguel Rodriguez, Jimmy Smooth's family. Everybody, Merry Christmas on that side to our wrestling family. We love you. We can't wait for the next show. But this is Big Baby Ben.
And as Big Baby said, all of the interviews, all the people that have been on Wrestling with Bros this year, we are so blessed to have the people that have came on this show. And we're looking to make, season 3 of Wrestling with Bros 2025 an even bigger year on Wrestling with Bros. Share this, guys. Share the videos. Share our lives. Let people know that we're here. And let them know January 17th, David Truitt will be on the pod. And, man, this guy has got some stories to tell. And we are excited to be the ones to bring him on Wrestling with Bros podcast in the Quad Cities, his hometown. So, guys, like I said, that was Big Baby Ben. This is Judas Black, Wrestling with Bros special episode here tonight, Christmas Eve edition.